guys, it's Coffee and Curiosity Podcast. I'm Jen.
And I'm George.
And today we are going to be talking about the mysterious disappearances in the national parks. So come on, grab your coffee, and listen along. I got my Dunkin' caramel swirl coffee.
All right, sounds good. All right, so let's see. Today we're talking about the national park disappearances.
Ooh, eerie.
This is actually a topic we found by just researching national parks on our own, like Yellowstone.
Yeah, I wanted to travel to Yellowstone and see the beautiful landscapes and the roaming buffaloes. It looks pretty unique.
Yep. So, actually, probably got into this by looking up Forrest Fenn.
Yeah, the famous Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. And Yellowstone Park, too.
Yep.
So upon doing our research for visiting different national parks, we came across many articles that stated that there's been several mysterious disappearances and vanishings of people who were at national parks.
Yeah, and there's this guy, David Paulides. He's a cryptozoologist and a former police detective. And if you don't know what cryptozoology is, it's the study of animals who their survival or existence is disputed, like Bigfoot or a Loch Ness Monster. And this guy, David, he's the founder of the North America Bigfoot search team. And I guess he launched his own database of wildland disappearances that occur under mysterious circumstances. From his research, there are at least 1,600 people missing in the wild somewhere in the United States.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, it is. And in national parks, like many other systems in our government, don't always communicate with each other, so they don't really have an official database of all the missing people in each park.
Yeah, I remember researching that and finding that out, and I thought that was really weird that they don't have a database for all the missing people in the different national parks.
Yeah, so the number is really just a mystery, basically.
Yeah, we'll never know the exact numbers.
Yep, so this guy, David, he has his own book series that he writes about all these mysterious disappearances. It's called the 411 Missing series, I think. And there's also a whole subforum on Reddit called 411 Missing, and it's a bunch of people giving their own strange cases and talking about other unsolved cases in the forests.
Definitely sounds interesting to check out all their comments.
Yeah, we're definitely going to keep looking on there and seeing the stories because they seem pretty interesting.
On another note, I remember watching a show I seen on TV about Bigfoot and whether or not he was real and people trying to track him in the woods. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of Bigfoot shows out there. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I don't know. I'd have to say no for right now. Not enough proof or evidence that he's out there.
Yeah, that's not a lot of proof, but there's a lot of Bigfoot searchers.
Yeah, there are.
So maybe we could look over some of these mysterious vanishing cases and some of the theories that go along with them.
Let's get going.
All right. One of the first theories is that some people believe that these people were taken by an evil spirit called the Windigo.
Windigo.
The Windigo comes from Algonquin folklore, and it's an evil spirit who terrorized woods and forests. A lot of the land from the national parks was taken from this tribe, and who believed in the Windigo. The Windigo is often said to be an evil spirit who terrorizes woods and forests, and said to be an evil spirit, sometimes depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics, which possesses human beings. And it's known to invoke feelings of greed and hunger, and the desire to cannibalize other humans, as well to commit murder in those that fall under its influence.
Sounds crazy, huh? But out of all things it does, what's up with the cannibalization of other humans?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Some traditions believe that the Windigo was created when a human resorted to cannibalism to survive. And it also says humans could also turn into Windigos by being in contact with them for too long. So if you're around a Windigo too much, you'll turn into a Windigo.
That's interesting, just by being around them, huh? Jeez.
Well, that's what they believe. And what about you? Do you believe in the Windigo?
Usually, I would feel like I would say no. Although, I mean, who knows? The land could be haunted and the Windigo could be out there. And from some of the research and articles I read, some of these people that have gone vanishing and have reappeared or resurfaced, they actually don't remember what happened to them during that time period. So you never know. The Windigo could have got them. It's possible.
Maybe they were possessed by the Windigo. You never know.
Yeah, stranger things have happened.
Of course. I'm going to say I'm a little bit skeptical on the Windigo as of right now.
Oh, come on.
So what happens when they find these people missing? Do they ever find them?
So when it comes to these national parks, in an event that a missing person happens to be found deceased, the autopsy does not often communicate very conclusive information. And it states that, in fact, most of the reported autopsies come back inconclusive, and the pathologists aren't able to determine the cause of death.
So I guess when they go missing, there's more questions, or when they're found, there's more questions than answers.
Yeah, which seems very ironic and odd because, like, usually the pathologists are able to tell how a person died, and they say they speak to them, and you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to go missing in the national forests.
Never know what happens to you.
So hikers out there, beware. I don't think your mace is going to save you from the Windigo.
Or your bear spray.
Yeah, so let's get into some more of these cases. It seems to be like some people are found and they're a crazy amount away from where they originally were, like a distance where they won't even be able to walk themselves.
Yeah, I remember seeing this while doing research and thinking that that was pretty crazy, how far away they were originally found from where they were to begin with.
This one case says that a toddler went missing and turned up 19 hours later, and he was 12 miles from where he vanished from. And between those 12 miles, there was mountain ranges and creeks, and there's basically no way he would have been able to get there himself.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, can you imagine a toddler alone in the forest, woods, mountains, and all the things that come along with that, being on his own and showing up miles from where he vanished from?
He must have been pretty frightened if he remembers anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know, like, how that's possible to be so far away and him be okay.
So what do you think happened to him?
Honestly, like, I have no idea. I can't imagine a toddler being on their own. Like, so many different things could happen, and he turned up so far away. Like, it's almost like someone had to have been, like, helping him or watching over him or guiding him, but yet no one was there, so I have no idea.
Maybe the Windigo ended up helping him.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think he was abducted? Do you think he wandered by himself? Do you think anything supernatural, a UFO? What do you think?
I mean, there's so many possibilities. I can't see why someone would abduct him, though, but then just leave him there to be found. That would be kind of odd, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Maybe a UFO abducted him and brought him back.
Maybe they're doing some studies.
Yeah, trying to check out what humans are like.
What about this case of Stephen Kubacki, I think?
Oh yeah, he's a really popular one that seems to be talked about a lot, especially on Reddit.
All right, why don't you talk about him a little bit?
Sure. So Stephen Kubacki disappeared while he was fishing and skiing near Lake Michigan. And it said that his ski poles were found abandoned and his tracks were said to have just stopped in the middle of nowhere. So basically, somehow he just vanished. Searchers assumed he had somehow fallen into the lake and drowned. But yet no one had any idea where he went, and he was never seen again until 15 months later, when he went back to his father's house. Stephen claimed he suddenly woke up in a meadow, which was about 40 miles away from his father's house. And Stephen was wearing clothes that weren't his, as well as a satchel that wasn't his, and he had maps that he had never seen before. And so, like, after all this, Stephen said he felt like no time had passed at all, and he had no clue what had happened to him.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I know his, like, case of people gone missing, has brought, like, a lot of speculation as to what really happened to him and if it was a hoax or not.
Could be a hoax, could be mental illness, could be supernatural.
Yeah, well, could be any of those three. Although I think I was thinking about, like, the mental illness angle, and it seems kind of strange. Like, I couldn't think of, like, what mental illness he could have where he would just disappear that long and then all suddenly, like, pop back up and, like, not remember anything. And, like, that's a long period of time, you know?
Yeah, but he could claim he doesn't remember it, even though he does, and just not want to admit it, maybe.
Then that would fall under a hoax. And that's what a lot of people think on Reddit as well, is and they think that that's why he doesn't want to talk to people about his time missing. He doesn't really comment on it at all, actually.
I read that this guy, David, who has the 411 series, tried to contact him, and Stephen refused to reply.
Yeah, it's a known thing, I guess, among people who do research on this and are interested in his vanishing case, that he doesn't want to talk about his time that he was missing. So I think that's why a lot of people probably think that he could have planned this and just disappeared and then reappeared when he felt ready, and that maybe that's why it's a hoax, or so on and so forth.
What would his reasoning for it? Why would he hoax this? Why would he do that?
Honestly, like, I can't really, I mean, there could be a million different motives of why someone would want to disappear without a trace and be by themselves for a period of time. But usually that doesn't really happen with, like, trying to plan your whole disappearance, mysteriously missing from a lake. Like, there were search teams looking for him. Everyone was trying to search for him. I can't think, like, why he would want to have all that going on and have people, like, up in arms looking for him. I don't know, really.
It also says that when they were searching for him, his footprints just pretty much went missing in the middle of nowhere. Like, his footprints were there and then they were just gone. Like, there was no trace of him. Where did he go?
Yeah, that also seems to be essentially impossible. Like, his footprints couldn't just have disappeared. Like, did he get picked up by a helicopter and flown away? I mean,
that's what I was wondering. Maybe a UFO case picked him up.
Yeah, this could fall under that.
I'm gonna say UFO for this case. What do you think? Hoax, mental illness, UFO?
God, I don't know. This one's, like, so hard to figure out. I just don't understand how someone could be gone for so long and not literally not remember anything, and then wake up in stuff that's not theirs with maps that weren't theirs. Just doesn't make any sense to me. But when his footprints went vanishing and they couldn't have been seen anymore, yeah, I would say maybe a UFO picked him up. Who knows?
Unless it was a very elaborate hoax where he had a airplane or helicopter pick him up.
Yeah, like something out of a movie. It's more weird, though, why he doesn't want to talk about his time missing. Like, I don't know, maybe he just feels bad about putting people through that if it was a hoax. Who knows? Like, the whole thing is just bizarre and odd.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that he doesn't want to talk about it, because that makes it seem like more of a hoax.
Yeah, and I even seen somewhere that nowadays he's like a psychologist or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
So it kind of definitely seems weird and bizarre that he won't talk about that.
Let's go on to another case here. We'll think about this one.
Keep it moving.
It's a little girl named Lillian. She's 6 years old from Maine. And it's 15. She's from Maine, and it's 15 miles from the Canadian border. And I think she went missing on August 8th, 1897. Lillian and her parents were blueberry picking. They were only there for a short amount of time, and the parents said she just vanished.
You'd think that was literally physically impossible.
So they searched for an hour, and then they got some people in the area to help. By the following morning, there were 200 searchers there, calling for Lillian, saying that they're their friend and they're there to help her, and they just never got a response, which is strange if she's around that area and she's cold or lost or hungry. And then a couple days later, on Tuesday, around 300 residents arrived to search, and at 10 in the morning, a guy named Bert Polland found her, somewhere between 2 and 3 miles from where her parents seen her last. There wasn't much detail in the article, though, about where they found her.
Poor Lillian, huh?
Yeah, she must have been terrified. She made an interesting statement. She didn't talk much about it, but she did make an interesting statement. She said that the sun shined all the time while I was in the woods.
Again, impossible. She was gone for that long.
It's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, especially for a younger person, 6 years old, to say that statement.
And the weather when she went missing was partly cloudy. So, and she spent 2 nights out in the woods. So how could it be sunny in the nighttime?
Yeah, and again, like at 6 years old, 2 nights out in the woods by herself. Jeez.
One of the interviewers commented that she must have been referencing something to say like that and said it while she was describing it as sunlight. It might not have been sunlight. He also said for the time period, you're not going to find an area like that with very bright artificial lights.
Yeah, I wonder if she was referencing something, what that could have been.
Another case where it seems like maybe she could have been abducted by aliens and the spaceship was light inside.
Yeah, bright gleaming light staring down at her.
But it doesn't really say much else about her, what she mentioned, so who knows?
I wonder, maybe she just didn't hear the searchers as they were calling out for her or something, because it seems like, she would instantly respond back, especially, like, being scared and cold and hungry in the woods by herself.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems kind of interesting, but we'll never know, because this case was in 1897, and there wasn't much left to say about it in the articles.
Yeah, it's interesting. Wish we could get some more info, because that's pretty crazy,
Yeah, so these cases are pretty interesting so far. Seems a little creepy, especially since we like to go hiking, so...
Yeah, we like to go hiking a lot to many different places, and, like, can you just imagine, like, something eerie like this happening?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be too fun to forget where you are or time missing.
I couldn't even really imagine having that happen and waking up and, like, not remembering anything and, like, that whole time period just gone. Like, geez, you must feel, like, insane at that point.
Yeah, it must be pretty scary. So also, we were looking at some posts on Reddit and came across this one specific post. It gives us 10 mysterious disappearances in the National Forest. Maybe we could read some of the cases.
Yeah, Reddit always has good information. That's interesting.
All right, so let's get into them. All right. Case number 10. Bessie and Glenn Hyde, 1928. Bessie and Glenn Hyde were honeymooning in northern Arizona at the Grand Canyon when they vanished. They were traveling down the Colorado River in October of 1928 and planned to boat through the Grand Canyon. Bessie would have actually been the first woman to ever do so successfully. Glenn had run tough rivers before, but Bessie was a boating newbie. The couple ran across the boaters a few weeks before their disappearance, who said they got the feeling that Bessie wanted to turn back, but Glenn was pushing her on. If they completed the trip successfully, they could go on a paid lecture tour, so the trip was more than just fun. They were trying to make some money.
Poor Bessie.
Cut to several months later, the Hyde's boat was discovered that winter, seemingly undisturbed. It was upright and full of supplies, but the couple was gone. There are many theories about what happened to the Hydes. Did they disembark and try a too difficult side hike? Did they have an argument that turned violent? Or were they abducted? There are conflicting reports about what happened to the Hydes, and more than one Bessie Hyde sighting in the years followed. So, what do you think could have happened to the Hydes?
They ended up offing each other.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, no, maybe they were abducted.
Another UFO case, you think?
Bessie couldn't take it no more.
I think this one seems like it could possibly be an accident that happened. They were on rough waters. Seems to me like they probably flipped the boat or something.
Yeah, I mean, anything having to do with, like, rough waters and not great weather conditions, and with a boat, you never know what could have happened. They could have flipped, they could have drowned, who knows?
Yeah, especially since the one couple said that it seemed like she wanted to turn back and seemed frightened.
Yeah, poor Bessie.
But it is interesting that said there was Bessie Hyde sightings afterwards.
Yeah, that is interesting. Quite interesting, actually. Wonder if any of them were relevant.
It could have been just mistaken identities.
Which I think in most cases, that's probably what it was.
All right, let's go to case number 9. Alfred Bellyhartz, 1938. He was a 5-year-old, and it's the first recorded drowning in Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park history.
The Rockies.
Through whether he actually drowned, though, is controversial. He was camping in the park with his family over the July 4th weekend when he disappeared near the Roaring and Fall rivers. Bellyhartz had gone with his dad to see the bath in the river, and from there he decided to join 2 family friends at the spot about 500 feet upstream of where he and his father entered the river. When everyone returned to camp, they realized that Bellyhartz was missing. A search began immediately, expanding to more than 100 civilian conservative corps members within 45 minutes, but there was barely any sign of Bellyhartz anywhere. A day after he disappeared, a couple hiking about 6 miles from Bellyhart's campsite reported seeing a boy who looked like Alfred sitting in an area called the Devil's Nest. By the time authorities arrived, the boy was gone. The search went on for 10 days and included 150 men plus bloodhounds, though the size of the search party had dwindled to a dozen by the end of the 8th day.
Where is Alfred?
Where could he be?
The devil took a hold of him.
What do you think this happened to Alfred?
This is mysterious too. I don't know, maybe Alfred could have drowned.
Seems like he could have drowned, but if he was reported being seen, maybe not.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, maybe he was seen and then he just happened to wander off before the authorities were able to see where the spot was he was seen.
Then maybe he got lost after that and possibly died from being in the wilderness too long.
Yeah, and he was never recovered, right?
No.
No, so we'll never know.
All right. Let's go to number 8. Catherine Van Alst, 1946. Do you want to read this one?
Yeah, sure. 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas Ozark National Forest, where she and her family were camping. Van Alst apparently was playing with her brothers when she wandered off and got lost. And what makes her disappearance remarkable is that when she was found, after 6 days wandering the woods, she was eerily calm. University of Arkansas student Porter Chadwick was part of the search party that found Van Alst. He told the Pittsburgh Press that when he found her, she walked stoically out of a cave and just said, "Here I am." Many other hikers have gotten lost in this part of the Ozarks. and not been as lucky as Van Alst. A grown woman was lost there for 17 days and died just 50 yards from the road. A fan of David Paulide's books has taken 360-degree panoramic shots of few locations where people have mysteriously vanished, and you can see the area where Van Alst went missing here. The person who have compiled these panoramas suspects abduction. In the shot, you can see places where an attacker, whether human or animal, may have hidden, in thick brush or behind rock outcroppings. If it was indeed an abductor, it was someone or something lurking in Devil's Den.
All right. What happened to Catherine?
What do you think happened to Catherine?
I don't know. It's kind of weird that she turned up and seemed so calm. I don't understand. Didn't they should have asked her more about what happened. There should be more information on that.
Yeah, it is odd that she was so eerily calm. Maybe she was abducted and they put a spell over her.
Maybe she was just lost in the woods. Maybe she was abducted by a person. They brought her back. Maybe an alien.
Maybe she enjoyed her time away.
Maybe she had a good time with the aliens.
Could be.
But yeah, I just don't understand. Maybe we should research more into that case another time to see if she said anything more, because it doesn't say anything here in Reddit.
Yeah, it'd be good to get an update on her.
Number 7, Paula Weldon. There's an area in Green Mountain National Forest near Glastonbury Mountain and Vermont's Log Trail that believers in the paranormal call Bennington Triangle. The area got this name because of a handful of mysterious disappearances which occurred between 1945 and 1950. Paranormal author Joseph A. Citro coined the term because of the supposedly supernatural circumstances surrounding these vanishes. Paula Welding was the second person to go missing in that area of the Green Mountain National Forest during this period. 18-year-old Welding was a college student who set out on the long trail in December 1946. She was dressed for walking and not a long hike. She was wearing jeans, a coat, and sneakers. Her attire implied that she planned to return before dark. When temperatures were supposed to dip below freezing, Weldon told her roommate that she was taking a long walk, but she never returned. Several people spotted her as she hitchhiked her way to the trail and walked to the trailhead. When Weldon didn't come back by dark, her roommate let the school know, and the search began. Classes were suspended so students could help with the search. The process was disorganized at first, until Weldon's father called in favors from police in two surrounding states. Unfortunately, the search didn't pan out, and frustrated family and friends had their own theories about what had happened to her. Did Weldon run off with a boyfriend? Was she abducted or commit suicide? Or did she die of exposure because of the inappropriate attire? No one has discovered her body, so her disappearance remains a mystery. There's a rumor that this area of the Long Trail is a home to a creature called the Bennington Monster. Could this Sasquatch-like animal have something to do with her disappearance? Regardless of whether people think these disappearances are natural or supernatural in nature, the cases do have a few things in common. The missing tend to be alone when they disappear or separated from the group by at least 50 yards. Bad weather and disorganized searches are something that are also a running theme in these cases. You can believe that these were accidents, abductions, or even something more sinister. But regardless, there are lessons in these stories about how to stay safer when you're in the woods by yourself.
Definitely want to stay safe when you're in the woods.
Yeah, so what do you think happened to 18-year-old Paula here?
Maybe because, I don't know, she was 18. It's possible she could have run off with her boyfriend.
Could be possible. She only left with one pair of clothing.
Yeah, she was not really dressed that appropriately for being in that environment, so it seems like she would have had issues with that.
Well, maybe that's a reason why she did run off. Maybe since she wasn't dressed for the weather, maybe she did have a car waiting for her or something.
Yeah, that could be, and she just got cold or too hot, whatever the case is.
You think she'd want to take some more of her belongings with her.
Or maybe she just felt like that would be her time to just take off and avoid things she was trying to avoid in her life, and maybe that's when she decided to just do it, and maybe she thought people might just think she vanished.
Yep. You'll never know, but what's your theory? Supernatural, vanished, supernatural, left by herself, abducted, serial killer?
Endless possibilities here. I think I would say maybe she just decided that it was her time, that she just wanted to leave and disappear for a while or something.
Yeah, I think that could be the case. Either that, or maybe she was abducted by a killer or something like that.
Yeah, that's also probably, like, highly likely too.
All right, number 6, Larry Jeffrey, 1966. Would you like to read this one?
Larry Jeffrey disappeared near the peak of 12,000-foot Mount Charleston Humboldt National Forest, just a short drive from Las Vegas. The search began immediately after the boy wandered away from his brothers, and within days the National Guard and a team of bloodhounds had joined the search. When Jeffrey disappeared, he was wearing light clothing, and authorities were doubtful that he could survive the cold temperatures at night. Searchers found and lost the trail a few times, and they discovered evidence that the boy had been eating insects and foraged berries along the way. Overall, around 1,000 people searched for 16 days but never found him.
Where's Larry?
Where is Larry? That's a good question.
So they had a scent from the dogs, and they were following his scent, I guess, for a while. And they somehow discovered that he'd been eating insects and foraged berries along the way. So he was out there by himself, it seems like, for a while.
Yeah, I wonder how they knew he was eating insects.
Yeah, good point. I was wondering that myself. Maybe they seen holes dug up. I don't know.
Yeah, very interesting. Maybe he got abducted.
Maybe abducted. Maybe he just died out there from natural causes. Maybe he fell in a lake or a river.
Could have drowned as well.
That's what I meant by falling in a lake or river.
Yeah.
And or he was eaten by a bear or something.
Yeah, bears, that's a good one too.
All right, so what would your final thoughts on that one be?
I would say abducted or drowned.
I think probably he wasn't abducted. I would think he was probably died maybe in a lake or something like that, drowned. Because since he was there for so long, they found his scent and he was eating insects and stuff. I doubt he was abducted.
Yeah, another thing could be, like, possible is that, like, when maybe his body, like, washed up to shore, or if he did die, he was in the woods and a bear found him and then ate him, too. That could be another thing.
Yeah, that's probably what happened, something along those lines.
Why they're never discovered. Maybe animals end up eating them if they're found.
Yep, and it would be hard to find him if animals were taking apart his body.
Yeah.
Number 5, Dennis Martin, 1969. Dennis Martin was on a camping trip near the Tennessee-North Carolina state line with his family in the summer of 1969. It was an annual Father's Day tradition. All of the men in the Martin family headed to the Smoky Mountain National Park to camp and hike. Dennis and his brothers had planned a prank on the adults. They were each going to jump out on a different side of the campsite to scare them. It's a pretty typical prank that should have ended with some startled shouts and then a lot of laughter. The laughter ended quickly, though, when they realized that Dennis was missing. Family, park rangers, and other hikers spread out to search for Dennis almost immediately, but he was nowhere to be found. That evening there was heavy rainfall, which is bad news when you're trying to track a missing little boy. The search for Martin became the largest in National Park Service history. One of the people searching was Park Ranger Dwight McCarter, who had successfully tracked down hundreds of missing persons, including young children, prior. McCarter was a seasoned tracker, and he was struck by the complete lack of any sort of tracks. Dennis seemed to have disappeared completely, leaving no trace at all. His disappearance is still a mystery. One possible lead that searchers didn't follow was a report from another family that evening that the boy went missing. The Key family allegedly heard a scream and then saw a bear man with something slung over its shoulders that looked like it could be a small child. We'll never know whether this was related to Martin's disappearance or not. So, what do you think happened to Dennis?
Well, I guess the joke ended up being on Dennis.
That's not a very good joke for him.
No, unfortunately not. I don't know. This is another weird, awkward one. Maybe UFO abduction?
I don't know. It seems weird that they were all just waiting to jump out and he went missing so fast.
Yeah, it's like it's so odd. Like there's no way to track him down or anything, and he was semi-near other people too, which is weird.
Yeah, how did he go missing? The Key family said that they seen a bear man carrying what could have been a little boy. Could it have been a Sasquatch?
Yeah, I definitely think it could have been a Bigfoot.
Yep, that's what the family report's seeing. They heard a scream and seen a big creature carrying a small boy, it looked like. So, what would your theory be on what happened to Dennis?
That just sounds odd. The family reports seeing a big creature carrying what could have been like a little boy.
Yeah, it definitely seems weird.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he was abducted. You know, maybe he was abducted. That would be my thought in theory. There's not really that much information on this one after he goes missing, and they haven't really been able to find anything, so I have no idea, really. How about you? What do you think happened to him?
This is a tough one. I have no idea. Maybe the Bigfoot got him.
Something definitely seemed to abduct him.
It's a strange case of how fast he went missing and with his family around.
Yeah, I mean, I find it even more peculiar just because his family was around and something or someone managed to just abduct him like that, you know?
Yeah,
Unless he fell off a cliff somewhere.
They didn't report if there was cliffs around and nothing like that, so I'm going with the Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'll stick with that.
All right, let's go to number 4. Would you like to read about Douglas Legg?
Douglas Legg and some of his family were heading out for a hike in the Adirondack Forest Preserve's Sanitary Preserve when his uncle spotted poison ivy and told Legg to put on long pants to protect himself. The family's cabin was short and a straight shot from where they were, but Legg never returned. Unlike a lot of the kids who have gone missing in national parks, Legg was very familiar with these woods. His family owned the cabin where they were staying and described Legg as a mini woodsman because they all hiked there together so often. Legg's disappearance sparked one of the southern Adirondacks' largest search and rescue missions, with more than 600 people searching the woods. But like David Gonzalez, Legg left no trail. Unlike in the Gonzalez case, though, rescuers used dogs in their search. Some accounts describe dogs following Legg's scent over a 30-mile trail through difficult terrain. How could a young child have traveled alone for such a distance? Some searchers reported seeing bear-like tracks near the site. While black bears do drag their prey to cover, dragging someone 30 miles over difficult terrain seems unusual. The family became desperate and began suspecting each other and even their friends of abducting Legg, but the police were certain that the mini woodsman had simply gotten lost. He has never been found.
All right, what happened to little Doug?
Mr. Mini Woodsman. I don't know, another bizarre case. I mean, maybe a bear did manage to drag him for over 30 miles, even if it would have been through difficult terrain.
Could have been an odd case of a bear just dragging his food around. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe other bears had helped him, or, you know, who knows? Since he's never been seen again, something definitely happened to him. Either that or he was abducted and taken far away.
Yeah, I don't think he was abducted that really. Seems like maybe he was abducted, who knows. But seems like he might have gotten lost, and possibly another case of him just dying because he didn't have food or water, and maybe then an animal took him.
Yeah, maybe he got really desperate and wasn't able to move like he usually was, and an animal just took advantage of him.
All right.
Number 3.
John Devine. According to Peninsula Daily News, Olympic National Park in northern Washington state has a feature that's not as majestic as mountain views. At least 4 hikers have mysteriously disappeared from the area in the past 25 years, one of whom was a 73-year-old John Devine in 1997. Devine planned to hike into the park from Mount Baldy. The trail was a 24-mile hike, and although Devine was elderly, he was also an experienced long-distance hiker. He was camping with his friend Greg Balzer. They split up on the day that Devine went missing. Balzer went off to hunt while Devine took off on a day hike. Devine never returned. The fruitless search for Devine lasted a full week until a rescue helicopter crashed and it killed 3 people and injured 5 others. By that time, weather conditions had deteriorated, making the chances of finding him slim. Friends and family have said that he would not want to put other people in danger on his behalf, and the search was called off. The search helicopter's crash is as mysterious as Devine's disappearance. Before takeoff, the pilot used a hand signal indicating that he was going to wait 5 minutes for conditions to improve before attempting it. A moment later, the helicopter departed vertically without warning and crashed into the side of the mountain.
Crazy case here.
So what happened to Mr. John Devine?
What do you think happened to Mr. Devine?
This seems like an interesting one, that he went off on a hike and just never returned. They couldn't find a trace of him anywhere.
Maybe a bear got to him.
Could be a bear. I don't know. There's not much info on this one. Could he have been abducted?
It's possible he could have been abducted, maybe by a fellow hiker somewhere or something. Who knows?
Maybe the evil Wendigo got him.
Yeah, the Windigo took a hold of him.
And then made the chopper crash.
Yeah, the helicopter situation there is a little crazy, huh? It just crashed vertically, departed vertically without warning, and then crashed into the side of the mountain. What's up with that?
I don't know. They said he was going to wait for 5 minutes, but he just took off pretty much instantly.
Yeah, maybe the Windigo was controlling it.
Could have been a supernatural case here. So do you want to go on and read the next case?
Yeah, sure. Number 2, David Gonzalez. At 8 a.m. on a July day in 2004, David Gonzalez asked his mother if he could have the car keys. There was a box of cookies in the car and he wanted a treat. The car was only 50 yards away, and his mother watched him as he walked to the parking lot near their Big Bear Lake campsite in Southern California's San Bernardino National Forest. She turned her back for a second, and when she looked around again, Gonzalez was gone. His mother reported that she heard no sound at all when her back was turned, though she did see a beige truck speeding out of the campground around the time that her son went missing. Since there were no signs of abduction, authorities did not pursue that lead. The cookies that Gonzalez went to get were still in his family's locked van, so he never made it to the car. Rescue teams in San Bernardino County sourced the woods for Gonzalez. They found no signs of struggle of the boy. The search went on for 9 days, but researchers never found him alive. Almost a year later, hikers stumbled upon the boy's remains, about a mile from his family's campsite. Authorities chalked this up to a mountain lion attack. But how could a mountain lion have silently dragged a 9-year-old boy a mile without leaving any blood or signs of struggle?
What happened to little David?
Mr. Little David Gonzalez. I don't know. Mountain lion seems... it's definitely possible, but seems kind of weird, huh?
Yeah, especially since they heard no screams or anything like that.
I don't understand why the police or the authorities didn't look more into the van that the mother saw speeding away around the same time. Yeah,
I was wondering that too, and it's weird that the mom was watching him and then just happened to miss him so fast when he went missing.
Yeah, it is interesting. It doesn't say like how long she turned around for and then when she turned back around, but it seems kind of like crazy that he could just vanish within a few seconds if that's all she turned around for.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. Could be the car speeding away. That seems like a good possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that does seem likely. It's weird they never looked into that more.
All right, want to read the last one? Number 1. Deep Sran, 2013.
That's a name, huh?
Sounds like an Indian or something.
Yeah.
Was a 25-year-old Canadian Army reservist who disappeared from Australia's national park located in the southeastern state of New South Wales. He was studying abroad in Australia in May 2013 when he decided to take a 1,700-mile road trip from the Gold Coast to Melbourne. He rented a van, drove to the park's Charlotte Pass in the Snowy Mountains, and no one has seen him since. The search for Sran began when the rental company discovered that the van wasn't returned. Sran hadn't told anyone what route or side hikes he was planning, and the search may have started days or even weeks after he went missing. Since it was the rental company that first reported the disappearance, searchers figured out his hike plans by looking at the search history on a laptop they recovered from his van. Sran's family hired private searchers after Australian authorities called off their search after only 2 weeks. The investigators used tower data from his phone and a trained dog to track his trail to a treacherous area called the Western Fall Wilderness. Just one day before his van was due back to the agency, Sran embarked on a difficult and time-consuming hike in snowy weather. Why would a trained reservist make a choice like that? Despite a private search that went on for over a year, his body has never been recovered.
That one's pretty interesting because he was like a trained reservist, like it said so. I mean, you would think he would have known not to try that treacherous expedition by himself.
Maybe he thought he could pull it off.
Yeah, maybe he was deciding to be brave and something just happened to him, and it's weird that he'd never returned his rental van.
Well, I guess he never returned it because...
maybe he was abducted.
Possibly. Maybe he just didn't make it. Maybe he took a off-trail hike or got lost on the trail.
Yeah, a lot of people do tend to try like new off-trail like experiments where they think they can go off-trail and they end up getting lost or something like that.
It seems hard to know what the case could be for this one.
Yeah.
So, what do you think what was the most interesting case to you?
I think I would say probably
I think the case most interesting to me was the one that wasn't from this list, but the one we read previous, the Lillian from Maine.
Yeah, that one was interesting. I think the Stephen Kubacki, is that?
What was his name? Stephen Kubacki or something?
Yeah, Stephen Kubacki. I think that one was the most interesting because he was later recovered because he woke up in that meadow and he just didn't remember anything. So, like, I think his experience and, like, his story is really interesting.
Yeah, it's another interesting one. Could be a hoax, could be not. But Lillian, she was discovered too, and she just said that the sun was there the whole time.
Yeah, that's and like at 6 years old, that's like a weird thing to comment on, being missing that long and thinking she was scared and stuff, but she really just only commented on the weather, so that was interesting as well.
Yep, and some of these cases we'll never know, and most of them we'll never know, actually, if not all of them.
Yeah, definitely. We'll never know what really happened, so everyone's pretty much able to pick their own assumptions of what went on.
So, all these other people going missing in the woods, what do you think some of the top cases, what do you think are the top theories that it could be?
Another interesting thing, too, is that a lot of people that go missing aren't even reported and aren't even included in some of the numbers that we have for missing people, too. That's another thing, to think about.
Yeah, some people don't have any family to be reported or anything like that.
Yeah, so they're just gone missing and forgotten about, but... I don't know. I would say probably maybe animal attacks or Maybe they drowned, but I definitely wouldn't cross like getting abducted off the list.
Yeah, abducted by what?
A bear, a UFO, a kidnapper, I don't know. Bigfoot.
Could be serial killers, could be trafficking.
Yeah, I think the human trafficking angle is a good point, because many people do go missing, and that is a huge thing going on, so they probably do take people off trails where no one's around.
It would be the perfect spot. There's no cameras out there in the parks.
Yeah, exactly. No one would know and probably hear them, and there are no cameras really, so, I think the human trafficking angle would be a good one too. And then they would never be seen again. They probably bring them to a different location, so.
We'll never know, but yeah. Serial killers, that's a perfect spot for them as well.
Definitely hiding out, waiting for their next victim.
What do you guys think? If you have any comments for us, or what do you think, or any interesting stories, you could
let us know.
Let us know at
coffeecuriosity.pod@gmail.com.
Or you can follow us on Twitter at
CuriousCoffeePC.
Alright, I think that about wraps it up for today's episode.
Bye guys, thanks.
Have a good one.